Hey Pixels! In this week's video tutorial, I will be showing you how to finish coding a responsive one-page portfolio website with CSS3. Be sure to check out part 1 of this tutorial to see how we started coding the website with HTML5. Check out my blog exopixel.com for all the original code in this tutorial. Before we begin to apply CSS3 styles to this website, we should first use a CSS Reset. What is that, you ask? Well, it's important to know that all browsers have styles that are applied to websites by default. This includes padding, margins, font sizes, etc. The aim for a CSS Reset is to remove all that default styling so that any CSS styling done by the web developer is from scratch without the browser interfering with the look of the website. There's a popular CSS Reset that I use called Reset CSS 2.0 by Eric Meyer. Place this at the beginning of your style sheets. Now that we've applied the reset rules to our style sheet, we can move on to applying styles to our one-page portfolio. Just like in part 1 of this tutorial, we're going to apply the styles in the order in which they appear in the HTML. First, we're going to style the header, then we'll style the About section, the Work section, the Context section, Image divider, and lastly, the footer. So without further delay, let's finish this one-page portfolio so we can show off our work. First, I'm going to apply global styles to some general CSS elements. This helps save some time since we won't have to apply the same rules over and over again for each section. I'm going to change the background color of the entire website, add a smooth hover effect to all anchors/hyperlinks, style M and strong tags, make all images full width, and change the fonts and look of the heading tags. Now that we've applied the global styles to our website, we can move on to style the header. To style the header to look like our original mockup, we're going to first use the background image we chose in our mockup and then apply a subtle gradient over the image. Then, we're going to style the div that contains my full name. This portfolio website will be responsive because I want to be able to show it on a variety of mobile devices, not just on a desktop computer. So, I'm going to style the div called Intro that contains my full name and my work title by giving it a max width of 960 pixels. The max width property simply means that the content will be no bigger than 960 pixels but can get smaller than 960 pixels. This is going to make the header responsive and the other divs that we apply the max width property to responsive and mobile friendly. Lastly, we're going to style the heading and subheading text in Intro. Now let's set some rules for the About section. Note that both the About section and Work section will be wrapped in the same div called Wrapper. First, we'll set the maximum width of the wrapper to 960 pixels using the max width 960 pixel declaration. We'll use the margin 0 auto declaration to center the wrapper in the web page. Lastly, we're going to make the padding on the top and bottom of the About section 4% and style the paragraph text and the anchor text. Be sure to watch my tutorial on how to style text in CSS3 for a more in-depth look on how to do just that. Now let's move on to the Work section. The Work section is the best part of this whole one-page tutorial. It's a different layout than the usual full-width one-page portfolio layouts that are so common in many websites today. To style the Work section, we're first going to set its height to 300 pixels and add 2% padding to both the top and bottom. Let's also add 4% of padding to the top and bottom of the H3 heading. Now, let's style the text box. First, we're going to float the text box to the left of the page, align the text within the text box to the left, and make the width of the text box 480 pixels. We're also going to make its background color white and set its height to 100% so that it's always the same height as the work section we styled in the beginning. Then, we're going to style the text box content div by adding 4% of padding to the top and bottom and 8% to the left and right. Let's style the paragraph text within the text box content by adding some line height, color, and letter spacing. We're also going to make the font size 1 EM, which is also equivalent to 16 pixels. Just like in our mockup, we're now going to style the big rectangular button. In HTML, we added a class to the anchor tag called button. So we're going to select that anchor named button and add a bunch of properties to make it look like how we designed it in the original mockup. As you can see, by adding a lot of padding, a thick border, aligning the text to the center, using the display block property, and some other text styling properties, we were able to create the button easily. To change the style of the button when the mouse hovers over it, add the hover pseudo class to the class button, and then simply change the font color and background color. Lastly, we need to style the portfolio image and alternate the image placement for each portfolio item as we did in our mockup. To do this, I'm going to select the class called image area and set its width to 480 pixels, height to 300 pixels, and use the overflow hidden declaration to make sure that the images that are slightly longer than their container are hidden. Finally, we're going to select both the left and right classes and have them float left and float right to give the work sections their alternating image position appearance. Styling the context section is going to be super easy now that we've completed the work section. First, we want the background to be full width by setting the width of contact to 100%. We're also going to apply a background color, add 5% padding to the top and bottom, and apply a 5% margin only to the top. We're also going to use clear both to this section to prevent any floating elements to float to the left or right of this section. To style the image divider, all you need to do is select the image divider class and add plenty of padding. I added 15% to the top and bottom. I also added the image using the background URL declaration. To make the image full width, I used background size cover. I also wanted to make sure that it was positioned correctly, so I used background position center top. To style the footer, we're going to style the main footer tag. Then, we're going to style the footer content class, which will style all the content within the footer. We want the width of the footer content to be 960 pixels, as is most of the content in this portfolio. We're also going to center it using the margin 0 auto declaration. Let's add some padding and then apply some styles to the text. The copyright text needs to be on the left-hand side, so we're going to select credit and use float left. To style the social media links, we're going to select social and float the links to the right. We want the links to display in line and not as a list, so we're going to use the display declaration to have them display in line. Now, we're going to color the links white, add a bit of padding around them, increase the font size, and add some weight to the font. Lastly, we're going to make the font change color on hover using the hover pseudo class. We're almost done coding our one-page portfolio. We've done all the main work to get our portfolio to look awesome. But we still need to make sure that it looks as good on a tablet or smartphone as it does on our desktop computer. That's why we need to use media queries. Media queries are made up using the @media rule. This is going to allow us to create various style rules for different size browsers and devices. Below, you'll see how I create 2 media queries for browsers that are 1000 pixels or smaller and for browsers that are 800 pixels and smaller. Within these media queries are various CSS rules that simply tweak certain sections like their padding, width, and font sizes. Once you apply these media queries, you'll notice that once the browser is 1000 pixels, the work section transforms from having the image and content right next to each other to the image placed on top of the content. By taking a look at image area, you'll see that this was done by floating the image area to the left, making it full width, and keeping its height to auto. The text box was also adjusted to be full width and its height changed to auto. The other CSS rules are just simple tweaks. Feel free to add and remove some of the queries to see how they affect the look of the website in various browser sizes. Now we've successfully completed the coding of our one-page portfolio website. Coding a website is so much easier when it's broken down into a series of steps. If you haven't already, watch part 1 to see how to code the HTML, or see how the whole portfolio website was created by watching how it was designed in Adobe Photoshop. Feel free to share this tutorial with anyone you know that would like to learn how to create their own portfolio to showcase their creative artwork. If you followed along with this tutorial, I would love to see what your version of this one-page portfolio website looks like. Feel free to change the colors and fonts to suit your personal style. As always, thank you for watching. Give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to Exopixel for more great videos just like this one. I'll see you in next week's video.